There's a moment when every boy realizes no one's coming to save him, and that's when he becomes a man. And some boys never get there and stay children forever.
Don't complain. Don't talk negative. That's average people talk normal. Average people talk problems. The greats talk solutions. Average people use their time to whine and complain. Average people say it's their boss' fault, it's their mother's fault. I used to be average. I used to say, when is my daddy coming to get me? When is my biological father gonna come in my life? And while I would talk like that, I ended up getting kicked out of school. And while I talk like that, I ended up being homeless. And while I talk like that, I was broke. And then one day I woke up and said, Eric, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to get you. But you can go to the library and get yourself.
It's so easy to be great nowadays, my friend, because most people are weak. Most people don't want to go that extra mile. Most people don't want to find that extra because it sucks.
Don't try to beat the system. Find out how it works, work it, but don't try to beat it. Some people learn just enough to start slicing it, shading it, thinning it, cutting corners, and looking for cheap answers. See, don't fall for that. You'll wind up with a cheap life. Find out how it works best and do it that way.
It doesn't matter how hard you work. I'm willing to work harder than you.
Of course, talent without work is nothing.
Stop being average when your potential is crying to come outside and be more than that.
Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy, work on your attitude, work on your personality, work on your language, work on the gift of communication, work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change.
You have to want it.
Believe in the difference you can be. Stop being average when your potential is crying to come outside and be more than that. Two forms of pain. Pain that breaks you and the pain that changes you. That's the pain of the change right there. That's the pain of progress.
You better go inside. You still looking outside for the stuff that's already inside. You still looking for someone to save you when you already your superhero. You looking for some information from somebody when you already got what you need in your head. It's just time for you to get up and be the best version of you.
Work as hard as you possibly can on one thing and see what happens. And that's also predicated on this idea that discipline is a precondition to freedom.
If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Complain, point at your circumstances, give up your power, blame the government, blame the economy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy.
This ain't high school. This ain't college. Like, this ain't for funsies. Like, this somebody's lifestyle. And people going out there and getting it. And if something happens to you, I promise you, if something happened to you, as sweet as you are, you're gonna be what? Come on, you gotta talk back to me. You're gonna be what? Replace. Say it again. You're gonna be what? That ought to scare you. That ought to scare you. That alone ought to make you wake up every day and say, I cannot afford to be replaced. It is in those times we have to be stronger than we've ever been before. Why? Because they need us more than they ever needed us before. And you guys are blessed in that you are the 1%ers. You know how many people want to be in your life who want the life that you have and you got it? And you not taking it serious? Like, you know how many people would die to have this life? You know how many people would die to be on the field on Sunday? You know how many people would die to eat the way y'all eat? You know how many people would die to have the gear y'all got? You know how many people would die to get on these planes and travel the world? You know how many people would die to have your life and you got it?
You can't attribute privilege to a class of people. You know, and you can't attribute power to people who happen to occupy a position of competence and authority either. There's some possibility that they occupy that because they worked hard and were fortunate, let's not forget about that, and had some good social support and didn't have some horrible disease, thank God. But you can't just make the case that the position is there as a reward. It's not there as a reward at all. It's there as a consequence of the person offering something valuable to those who want to pay for it. And the reason you pay for them isn't to reward them. It isn't so that you give them a pat on the back and say, well, you're a good person and you deserve this position. It's because you're saying to them, produce. We find what you're producing of value. And so we're going to give you what you need in order to be motivated to keep doing it. But it's not because we like you. It's not because we respect your rights. It has nothing to do with equity. It's we're trying to get every goddamn thing we can from you as fast as possible. And we're going to pay you to do it. And so people deserve their damn pay. And the reason they deserve it isn't because it's a reward. It's because that's how you get productive people to do things that are difficult and time consuming and that perhaps they wouldn't do on their own accord, to continue doing them so you can benefit from it.
And the reason why some of you are not where you're supposed to be, you've given yourself an option. You've given yourself an out. You've given yourself an excuse. You've given yourself room not to do it. Unfortunately, we weren't made just to start on our own. You got to find your why, and your why is what's going to start you. And so for a lot of you, you're not doing nothing because you don't have any purpose right now. You don't have a sense of purpose. You're not waking up for nobody. And I need you to get that engine. I need that drive, because you know what to do. You're the right person to do it, but you just can't seem to get out of bed. You can't seem to do what you're supposed to do. Every time you come up against a trial or a tribulation, you let it stop. You know how people would die to eat the way y'all eat? You know how many people would die to have the gear y'all got? You know how many people would die to get on these planes and travel the world? You know how many people would die to have your life, and you got it? It's your life. You got it. What you gonna do with it? It's your turn. There's nothing wrong. You don't owe nobody nothing. It's your turn. You shouldn't feel guilty. It's your turn. It's your time. You've blessed everybody else. You've set everybody else for success. You've compromised you for them, and look where you are. It's time for you. And don't you know that the best thing you could do for them is to be the best version of you? Don't you understand that? That you're not helping them by not being the best version of you? The only way you're really gonna bless them is to be the best you can be.
The stage is set, and it's time to rock and roll. You must be ready to work.